Have you ever felt like, no matter how hard you try, you just can't move on? Like something inside you keeps pulling you back to memories, to people, to emotions you thought you buried years ago. You tell yourself you're over it. You convince everyone around you that you've healed. But deep down, something still hurts. And the truth is, it's not your mind holding you back. It's your heart. After 40, something changes inside you. Not suddenly at all. Not loudly. But deeply. Permanently. Your heart begins to hold on to things your mind can no longer control. And once you fall into this emotional trap, escaping it becomes harder than you ever imagined. The change no one talks about when you're young, your mind leads your life. You make decisions based on logic, ambition, and possibility. You believe you can fix anything, replace anything, forget anything. But after 40, something shifts. Life is no longer about what could be. It becomes about what has been. Most people think the hardest part of life is what happens to them. But that's not true. The hardest part is what stays with them. After 40, you begin to realize something unsettling. It's not the events themselves that shape you the most. It's the emotions you never fully processed. The conversations you replay in your head. The people you still feel connected to, even after they're gone. The moments you wish you could go back and change, just one more time. And the more you try to ignore these things, the louder they become. Because your heart doesn't work like a switch you can turn off. It works like a mirror. It reflects everything you've been avoiding. That's why in the quiet moments of your life, everything feels heavier. You're not distracted anymore. You're not chasing the next big thing. You're not trying to prove yourself to the world. You're just left alone with your thoughts. And that's where the emotional trap tightens. Because now there's nothing standing between you and the truth. You start to see patterns. You realize how many times you stayed silent when you should have spoken. How many times you gave your energy to people who never valued it. How many times you ignored your own needs just to keep others happy. And that realization, it doesn't feel empowering. It feels painful. Because you can't go back. You can't undo those choices. You can't relive those moments. All you can do is feel them. And this is where most people break. Not physically, not outwardly, but internally. They start building emotional walls. They stop opening up. They stop trusting easily. They stop expressing what they truly feel. Because somewhere along the way, they learned that feeling deeply comes with a cost. And they've already paid enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. Avoiding your emotions doesn't protect you. It traps you. Every feeling you suppress doesn't disappear. It gets stored deeper and deeper until it becomes part of who you are. That unexplained sadness you feel sometimes, that sudden wave of emotion that hits you out of nowhere, that's not random. That's everything you never allowed yourself to fully feel. And after 40, it starts demanding your attention. You may not talk about it. You may not even understand it, but you feel it. In the way certain memories still affect you. In the way certain people still have a hold on your emotions. In the way you sometimes feel tired, even when nothing is physically wrong. That's emotional weight. And the longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. But here's where things get even deeper. At this stage of life, your heart isn't just holding pain. It's holding identity. Your experiences have shaped how you see love, trust, connection, even yourself. If you were hurt deeply, you become more guarded. If you were betrayed, you become more cautious. If you were ignored, you learn to stay quiet. And over time, these patterns become automatic. You don't even realize you're doing it anymore. You just call it who you are. But in reality, it's who you became to survive your past. And this is the most powerful realization of all. The emotional trap isn't just about what you feel. It's about how those feelings have silently rewritten your life. The way you respond to people. The way you handle relationships. The way you protect yourself, even when there's no real danger anymore. Your heart is trying to keep you safe. But sometimes it keeps you stuck. Stuck in old fears. Stuck in old memories. Stuck in a version of yourself that was created in pain. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to change. Because it feels familiar. Even if it hurts, it's what you know. And human nature always chooses familiarity over uncertainty. Even when that familiarity is the very thing holding you back. So what happens next? Do you stay in this emotional cycle for the rest of your life? Do you keep carrying everything, pretending you're fine, while something inside you slowly fades? Or do you finally face it? Not to erase the past, but to understand it. Because understanding changes everything. When you understand why you feel the way you do, you stop blaming yourself. When you understand where your patterns come from, you stop repeating them unconsciously. When you understand your emotional pain, it loses its power over you. And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel trapped. You feel aware. And awareness is the beginning of freedom, not instant happiness, not a perfect life, but something real, a quiet sense of control, a deeper connection with yourself, a life that is no longer ruled by what you've been avoiding. Because in the end, your heart was never trying to trap you. It was trying to show you something you weren't ready to see. And now, maybe you are. Here comes a moment in life, not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, almost invisible, when something inside you finally shifts. It's not because everything is suddenly okay. It's not because the pain disappears. It's because you stop running. For years, maybe even decades, you've been trying to outthink your feelings, trying to distract yourself, trying to stay busy, trying to convince yourself that what you feel doesn't matter anymore. But it always comes back, in silence, in memories, in the spaces between your thoughts. And now, not physically, but emotionally, tired of carrying things no one else can see. Tired of pretending you're fine when something inside you still aches. Tired of holding on to versions of the past that no longer exist. And in that exhaustion, something powerful happens. You begin to let go, not all at once, not perfectly, but honestly. You stop asking questions that have no answers. You stop chasing closure from people who can't give it. You stop needing the past to be different. And for the first time, you accept it. Not because it was fair, not because it didn't hurt, but because it happened. And that acceptance, it changes everything. Because when you stop fighting, you stop fighting yourself. You realize something most people never fully understand. Your pain was never your enemy. It was a message. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment you felt unseen or unappreciated, it was shaping you. Not into someone weaker, but into someone deeper. Someone who understands things others overlook. Someone who feels things others ignore. Someone who sees meaning where others see nothing. And yes, it came with a cost. But it also gave you something rare, awareness. The kind of awareness that allows you to see your own patterns. To recognize when you're closing off. To notice when fear is making your decisions instead of truth. And that awareness gives you a choice. A real choice. Not the illusion of control you had when you were younger, but something stronger. The ability to respond instead of react. To open up even when it feels uncomfortable. To trust again even when there are no guarantees. To live without constantly looking over your shoulder at the past. And this is where most people hesitate. Because healing doesn't feel safe. Holding on to pain feels familiar. Letting go feels uncertain. But here's the truth, you don't heal by staying the same. You heal by allowing yourself to become someone new. Not by erasing your past, but by no longer letting it define your present. And that doesn't mean you forget. You will still remember. You will still feel. There will still be moments when something triggers an old emotion, a memory, a feeling, a part of you that hasn't fully faded. But this time, it won't control you, because you'll understand it. You'll see it for what it is. A part of your story, the whole of who you are, and slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to feel lighter. Not because life is easier, but because you're no longer carrying it the same way. The weight changes. It no longer drags you down. It grounds you. It reminds you of everything you've been through and everything you've survived. And that realization, it builds something powerful inside you. Strength. Not the kind that hides pain, but the kind that faces it. The kind that says, yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've lost things I can never get back. But I'm still here. Still feeling. Still growing. Still capable of something more. And maybe that's what this emotional trap was really about. not trapping you, but slowing you down enough to see yourself clearly. Because when life is fast, you don't reflect, you don't question, you don't understand. But when everything becomes quiet, when the distractions fade, when you're left alone with your thoughts, that's when the truth reveals itself. Not the truth about the world, but the truth about you, who you are beneath the roles, beneath the expectations, beneath the versions of yourself you created just to survive. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You stop living on autopilot. You stop repeating patterns without awareness. You stop settling for things that don't align with who you've become. Because now, you know what matters. You know what drains you. You know what you deserve and what you no longer tolerate. And that clarity, it's something most people spend their entire lives searching for. But it only comes when you're willing to face yourself completely. Not just the good parts, but the broken ones too. And in doing that, you don't just escape the emotional trap, you transform it. It becomes the very thing that wakes you up, the thing that reconnects you to yourself, the thing that gives your life depth, meaning and truth. So no, your heart was never trying to hold you back. It was trying to bring you back to yourself. And maybe,
just maybe, that's where real freedom begins.
You've experienced love, loss, betrayal, regret. You've seen people come and go. You've made choices you can't undo. And slowly, your heart starts collecting these moments, not as memories, but as emotional imprints. And unlike your mind, your heart doesn't let go. Why you can't let go, you've probably asked yourself this before. Why am I still thinking about this? Why does this still hurt? Why can't I just move on? Here's the truth most people never realize. Your heart doesn't process time the way your mind does. To your mind, something happened 10, 20, even 30 years ago. But to your heart, it feels like it happened yesterday. Because emotional experiences aren't stored as past events. They're stored as present feelings. That's why a simple song, a familiar place, or even a random thought can instantly bring everything back. Not as a memory, but as a feeling you're forced to relive. The emotional trap, this is where the trap begins. After 40, you don't just remember your past, you live with it. You start comparing your present life to what could have been. You think about the person you lost, the chance you didn't take, the words you never said. And without realizing it, your heart builds a quiet prison, a place where regret keeps replaying old love, never fully fades pain, never completely disappears, and the most dangerous part. From the outside, you look completely fine. The mask people wear by this stage in life, you've mastered something powerful, hiding your emotions. You smile when you're hurting. You stay silent when something bothers you. You act strong, even when you feel broken inside, because you've learned no one really wants to hear your pain, so you carry it alone. And over time, this silence becomes heavier than the pain itself, because the more you suppress your emotions, the stronger they become inside you. Heart versus mind, this is the battle most people over 40 face every day. Your mind tells you, move on, don't. It doesn't matter anymore, but your heart says, it mattered, it still matters, it will always matter. And no matter how logical you try to be,
your heart keeps winning because emotions are not controlled by logic,
are controlled by meaning. And the things that hurt you the most are the things that meant the most. Why IT gets stronger with AGE, here's something most people don't expect. This emotional trap doesn't weaken with time. It actually gets stronger. Because as you age, you become more reflective, you have fewer distractions, you value meaning over noise, and that means you feel everything more deeply. Moments that once seemed small now carry weight. People who once seemed replaceable now feel irreplaceable, and emotions you once ignored now demand to be felt. The truth about human nature, here's the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Human beings are not designed to forget. We are designed to feel, to attach, to remember, to care deeply. And after 40, this truth becomes impossible to ignore, because you realize the things that shaped you the most were not your achievements, but your emotional experiences. The breaking point, at some point, everyone reaches it. That quiet moment where everything hits at once. It might happen at night, in silence, when there's no one around. And suddenly, you feel everything you've been holding back. The regret, the love, the loss, the what-ifs. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. You never really escaped your past. You just learned how to live around it. Section 9, the most dangerous lie, the biggest lie people tell themselves is this: I'm over it. But being over it doesn't mean it didn't change you. It doesn't mean it didn't leave a mark. It just means you stopped talking about it. And silence is not healing the way out emotional resolution. So how do you escape the emotional trap? Not by forcing yourself to forget. Not by pretending it didn't matter. But by doing something most people avoid: facing it, feeling it, understanding it, accepting it. Because the moment you stop running from your emotions is the moment they stop controlling you. After 40, life is no longer about becoming someone new. It's about understanding who you've already become. Your heart is not your enemy. It's a record of everything that mattered. Every love, every loss, every moment that shaped you. And maybe you were never meant to escape this emotional trap. Maybe you were meant to understand it. Because in the end, the depth of your pain is the proof of how deeply you lived.